Come on, City. Manchester City are through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup after a grueling, difficult, but ultimately satisfying 2-0 victory away at Goodison Park. It wasn't pretty, but it doesn't always have to be pretty, does it? It doesn't have to be. Either way, City are through, and I'm going to run through this game and offer my thoughts very, very soon. Before I do that, though, I want to say, go and download OneFootball right now in the link in the description. It's absolutely incredible. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's informative. And it helps support my channel, which is a little additional bonus. If you want to go and support my channel and get an incredible football app that costs absolutely nothing, and get an app that's used by over 10 million people and get all the stats and all the Manchester City news and transfers and updates sent straight to your phone, download OneFootball right now in the link in the description below. As you can see alongside me, it's got everything that you need to know about Manchester City, so go and download it right now. It's brilliant, and I'll be reading it as I always do when I'm sat there just browsing, and it's where I get all the notifications first about any major Manchester City news. So do yourself a favour, download it right now. But this game, I just want to talk about this game overall, really. I just want to talk about it because it was such a strange game of football. I'm going to park the whole segmented thing. I just want to talk about it overall because it was frustrating, but it was also satisfying at the same time. And initially, I want to talk about people just calming down a little bit. One thing I will say is I got very frustrated during the watch-along today because so many people were so willing to throw their toys out the pram. Just calm down, have a little faith in this side. And before I get on to the individual performance, I want to just address this issue about just trusting in Manchester City, just trusting in this side, just trusting how brilliant this side are. I don't think some fans realise just quite how good we've got it at this moment. If your reaction to Manchester City going 1-0 up is to slate another player that you didn't think was playing well, you're doing football wrong. Just celebrate the goal. And of course I'm talking about Sterling. A lot of people were hating on Sterling today. I get it, he played badly, but if you're going, yes, Sterling's off, we've scored, can you not just celebrate the fact that we scored? It's just a little bugbear of mine. Like, why not just celebrate the good bit instead of looking negatives to celebrate? It makes no sense to me. Either way, things at the moment are so goddamn good. They really are that good. We are absolutely brilliant. A semi-final. We're already in another domestic final against Spurs in the Carabao Cup. We're in the quarter-finals of the Champions League. We are miles out ahead of the Premier League. It never is this good. It's never this good. We're in 4 competitions and we are managing to keep winning and finding a way to win despite everything. It's absolutely fantastic, and we really need to realise this is as good as it gets. When Guardiola goes, he probably will go down a little bit, and I tell you what, I couldn't have dreamed of this as little Stephen. Little baby Stephen would have laughed at you if he told me that we'd be all 4 competitions and going to win a bunch of trophies. He would have laughed at it because we were terrible back then. So appreciate just how good it is. And when you get your criticism in, which is totally fair, I don't mind constructive criticism, just remember how good we are, because sometimes we forget about that. But overall, the performance today, it wasn't the kind of game that we're going to remember forever, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Not every game has to be perfect. Who remembers what happened in that Leicester game? No one did. Everyone just remembers Vinny don't shoot, and then Vinny shooting, and then us scoring. Who remembers much of the Aguero moment, the QPR game? No one really. Of course you probably remember it because it was so tense, but the point is, no one remembers that Newcastle game when other than the Yaya goals. No one really remembers most games where it's difficult. You just remember the big moment when we win it. And the point is, I guess I'm making, is that it doesn't matter that it was difficult. Everton set out today to try and frustrate Man City. Everton set out to try and defend. When you've got a team that is managed by one of the best managers in world football in Carlo Ancelotti, and they are willing to sit back and defend, then of course it's going to be difficult every now and then, because why wouldn't it be difficult? Sometimes you just got to do the job at hand. You've got to really dig in. You've got to work harder than the other team. You've got to wait for your chance, and you've got to stick to the game plan. And sometimes the game plan is to wear teams down, and if you need to bring on your special set pieces players, you've got to bring on someone like Kevin De Bruyne or bring on a Mahrez or whatever later on. Sometimes you got to do that. That's fine. That's part of the plan as well. And I think Guardiola probably would have been relatively happy with 0-0 with half an hour to go and get to bring on your best players. It's totally fine, man. It's fine not to be perfect all the time is what I'm saying. It's just not even realistic to be a 10 out of 10 all the time, especially when you've got a team who just wants to sit back and defend, who are as organised and have as quality players as Everton do. And they are good players. We can pretend they're not, but they are. And they are definitely capable of frustrating many aside. Either way, we found a way to win, and you can't help but admire how consistent this team is. You have to admire it, because otherwise, what is the point? Yes, some players today weren't at their best, and some players aren't in form whatsoever, but I don't care. As long as we find a way to win. And Guardiola, let's get on to Sterling. A lot of people gave Sterling a lot of criticism today. I don't mind criticism. If you get into the abuse territory, you've been a knob. There's no point. Don't bother. Just admit okay, you can turn around and think he's not good enough, but we know he is good enough as a footballer, but right now his form's terrible. We know he can be good enough because he's shown it before. But I guess the point I'm making is like, Guardiola was right to play Sterling today because obviously Sterling at his very best is a quality footballer, and given recent rumours around a dispute and all that kind of stuff, Guardiola had to show that he's got time for potentially Sterling getting better. But Sterling didn't play well and he was subbed off. That is the be all and end all of it, and that is totally fine. But he wasn't the only player who was pretty poor. I thought Gundogan was really quiet for an awful long time in the game. Then Foden went quiet for a bit as well. Jesus barely got on the ball as well. Overall, City were pretty quiet apart from maybe a few players who did themselves proud. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we won. And players can't be perfect all the time. I want to give a shout out to Fernandinho. How is this guy 35 years old and still performing at the level he does? Fernandinho is a warrior. Fernandinho is the kind of player that we know how lucky we are right now, but I think one day we'll miss him more than we realise because he's such a sensational player and such an intrinsic part of what made Manchester City so brilliant over the years. And today as well, absolutely excellent. He had no right to be that good at his age, but still, he is a leader. He is absolutely determined. And some of his little plays today, the way he was getting around the pitch at that age, it'd be an absolute shame if he goes this summer because he's got so much to offer left. And I can't really think how we can appreciate or replace that level of quality in the team. Fernandinho is a Rolls Royce of a footballer still, a leader. And I'm going to miss Fernandinho's little shithousey face. I'm going to miss his leadership and his drive and his energy. He's an absolutely insanely good footballer still. And what a player. Diaz, the big, beautiful, handsome bastard. Likewise, Laporte, man. Laporte's energy and effort today and Diaz, both absolutely brilliant. And Laporte getting forward, creating that goal when he came on as well. Sensational stuff from Laporte, but Diaz as well. Some of the tackles today from Big Father Ruben. Just beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. I think it's probably fair to say we missed a little bit of the creativity of Joao Cancelo because both Zinchenko and Walker aren't quite as good going forward. But it is what it is. We kind of took a calculated risk and we got away with it in the end. Well, Gundogan, not everything he tried today came off, but then he scored. He scored. He did a good Gundogan, He's where he needed to be at that moment, and fair play to Gundogan once again, being useful and decisive as he always is. Bernardo was all energy, but not necessarily guile at times, so he had a couple of nice runs where he drifted past the defence, but I think overall the midfield did struggle to break down an incredibly stoic and defensive Everton side, which is fair enough. Jesus couldn't really get involved in the game either. Both Sterling and Jesus at the moment, they'll struggle to get into the strongest team, but Guardiola was right to play them to give them a chance to get into the first team, but they probably didn't do enough today to warrant dislodging anyone from arguably what would be our strongest 11, which is the likes of Mahrez, De Bruyne there as well, of course. Foden was in and out the game, which is fine and totally normal. Kevin De Bruyne came on. Do you remember about 2 weeks ago when some people were trying to argue that maybe Kevin De Bruyne isn't actually in our strongest team? What were people thinking? You'd think you'd learn from now that form and is just temporary and class is permanent. And he was clearly just rusty after coming back from an injury. He's clearly just rusty. He clearly was. And once again, the quality of that goal and his involvement in the first goal. Kevin De Bruyne is a world-class special footballer. And if you can find a way to fit him on the pitch, even if it's in a false nine position or whatever, you do it. Because he's Kevin goddamn De Bruyne and he's absolutely fucking brilliant. And we need to remember that. I'm so tired of people forgetting these things and having short memories. And I'm so tired of it. I know we all have it in our fan group. Every fan base has it, but I'm so tired of people just reacting to 2 or 3 games and treating that as gospel right now. Of course, Guardiola was right to play Kevin De Bruyne constantly, even if he wasn't playing well a couple of weeks ago, because he's Kevin De Bruyne, man. He's Kevin De Bruyne. But either way, once again, the performance wasn't brilliant, but it didn't need to be. It was fine, it was decent, and we found a little bit of extra to get through them, and we won the game deservedly so. Everton were decent today, but we were better. And that's literally all that matters at the end of the day. We are through to a semi-final in the FA Cup. We are in a quarter-final against Dortmund in the Champions League. We are miles out in front in the Premier League, and we're in a Carabao Cup final. This team keeps finding a way to get results when it matters this season. At some point, it's going to stop. Of course it might do. Who knows? Maybe it won't. But either way, this team has earned my respect, and they should earn your respect as well if they haven't already. And sometimes we need to step back and see the wood from the trees, because not every player is going to be perfect every moment. And yes, some players are massively out of form, but that's life, man. That's life. Some people would have sold Bernardo in the summer. Some people would have sold Rodri and Cancelo in the summer as well. Just remember, the next time you give a player a load of stick. Hopefully Sterling will bounce back and find his form again. Hopefully Jesus will as well. But either way, they are Manchester City players and they try. And to me, that's all that matters. And they've been a big part of what made this Manchester City side successful this season. Even if it hasn't been in great form, they've been working hard. Guys, we are through. Thank you for watching this video. Thanks for watching the game and then watching this video. You're all absolutely awesome. Thank you for all the patrons as well. And Ahmed Ali, my Patreon producer. Thank you so much for the top tier support from Ahmed there. Every single one of you are all absolutely awesome. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the game today. I feel cathartic after that. That was a labour of love, that game, but we're through. And that's all that matters. Come on, City. In a bit.